Yes, children. Good morning, class 11 Y children. Today I will continue the same chapter. The topic is the different, that is guttation and remaining part of the transpiration. Children, in the last video I told about the transpiration, and now I am going to tell the functions of stomata. Functions of stomata, as you can understand, if the stomata have function or to do the function, so main and most proper function for stomata is to intake CO2, that is for photosynthesis, and to release oxygen, that is about the releasing of byproducts and which we are using for our respiration. And then second thing, they have to open their stoma for their transpiration, that means to remove excess amount of water. So there are two main functions of the stomata which help in photosynthesis and help in transpiration. These two are the main functions of the stomata. Then most of the water absorbed by the plant, they are using very less amount of water during photosynthesis, and excess water should be removed out through the transpiration. So these two are the main function of the stomata. Now children, types of stomatal movement. Stomatal movement means how the stomata move, that is potassium ion concentration theory and sugar concentration theory, that means how they are open and how they are closed. But stomatal movement means when they are open and when they are closed. So one or two reasons I told you: when there is more carbon dioxide, stomata get closed; when there are more temperature, then also stomata get closed to maintain their chloroplast. So now here is two types of movement found in stomata. One is photoactive movement. As children, the name suggests, photo means light. That means when light is active, then the stomatal movement will take place. That means they can open their stomata. So photoactive movement occurs in those stomata those who are active in daytime. So this is one type of stomatal movement. Next one is scotoactive movement. These are present in those plants when in the daytime they have some improper facility or improper condition of their atmosphere. So at that time they close their stomata, but during the night temperature become less, condition become favorable, and they can open their stomata. They are called as scotoactive movement, or this type of stomatal movement is called as scotoactive movement. Now children, example for scotoactive movement is those who have stomata, open their stomata in the night time, so they are known as CAM plant. CAM plant, this is the full form, crassulacean acid metabolism. So children, when you will study about the photosynthesis, then you can understand. But you can understand the name CAM plant, crassulacean acid metabolism. Those plants have this type of metabolism. They have scotoactive stomatal movement. Now children, for example, who are those that CAM plants? These are the, you can by yourself you can understand that desert plants, they can't open their stomata at the daytime because there will be more transpiration, but they have to store more water. So they are the example of CAM plants. Then children, orchids. Next one, pineapple. These are having scotoactive movement in their stomata. Now children, there is little bit difference in types of plant, those who have photoactive stomata and photoactive stomata. In photoactive stomata, those plants they are known as C4 plants, and they also known as, or they are having Krebs anatomy. When you will study photosynthesis, then you can understand. But those who are having photoactive stomatal movement, so yes, they are open their stomata at the daytime, so they collect or they fix carbon dioxide in the night time. But at the daytime they are having closed stomata, but the daytime Rubisco enzyme is active, so they can prepare the glucose in the daytime, but fixation of CO2 takes place at the night. This is the simple main difference between these two stomatal movement found in the plants. Rest other things you will study while we will study about that photosynthesis. Now children, these are the stomatal movement over. Now ascent of sap, as children in class 10th you studied about it. Ascent of sap, that means the movement of water and mineral from the lower side to upper side. So these three theories are behind it which help in ascent of sap. First is vital force theory. Vital force theory. Now children, you can understand vital means very essential. So vital force theory is, just suppose J.C. Bose gave that vital theory and his views were based on the experimental evidences. He devised a special apparatus, that is potometer also he has discovered. So vital force theory means different types of scientists given different types of theories to show that this is a very vital activity and these are the vital theories to send water from lower surface to upper surface. Just suppose one is there, Goldsky, then relay pump hypothesis, all these things these are there, but it is not very necessary for it. Then next one is root pressure theory. As children in class 10th you studied, now I am telling you root pressure theory. When water will be absorbed by the root, so it will create a high pressure, and due to that high pressure it wants to send, or it wants to release, or it wants to push the water and mineral to the another place. So it will go to the xylem. So from the xylem it will go to the other place, that means stem, branches, leaves, etc. Then physical force. Physical force, it means that we can observe or we can feel about it, that physical forces. These are the physical forces. Capillary force, or you can say the capillarity of xylem, which create a force. So when root pressure will create high pressure, then water will start to move through the xylem. Xylem have thick walled cells and capillarity will be more is there, so they also create a force, and due to that force the water molecule gets height or it can reach up to high level. Next one, atmospheric pressure. Children, all of you uses or used already that the dropper. When you will create high pressure in the top of the dropper, then from the lower surface, due to that high pressure, all the air goes out, which creates atmospheric pressure more, and then when you release that dropper, then due to that high pressure it will move inside your dropper and you can get some liquid in it. Same thing here also happen. Atmospheric pressure, when it is more surrounding to the xylem, so it will go or it will create more pressure in the xylem, and xylem will send or xylem will release, xylem will flow the water and mineral into high level. Third one is cohesive force. As children, here I told you, this is the chemistry of water molecule. So according to water molecule, one molecule is here, one molecule is here. Between the two molecules of water there is hydrogen bond, and see, delta negative charge is there in oxygen and delta positive charge in hydrogen. So delta negative charge is quite more than the hydrogen, that is delta positive charge. So along with the hydrogen bond, it can create a force by which another water molecule are attracted with each other, and it can make a flow, make a stream, make a continuous flow of water molecule from one place to another place. So this is the force of cohesion or cohesive force, due to which water molecule can reach up to the high level, or you can say that from lower surface to the high surface in the coconut trees also and palm trees also. Date palms are having less height, but palm tree and coconut trees have more height. Up to there the water can reach. So this is the transpiration pull or cohesive force theory. And cohesion means mutual attraction between the water molecule, and force of adhesion or adhesive force means attraction of water molecule to the polar surface, that means due to the polarity they have the attraction between each molecule. So it can create the force and they can reach up to the high level. They have some tension also, high tension, which create some tensile strength or the ability to resist, that is pulling force, by which water molecule can be pulled one after the another one. Next children, now I am coming to the guttation. So guttation is also the process of removal of water in the form of water droplet, and in the transpiration there is absorption, removal of water in the form of water vapor, and here in the guttation, removal of water in the form of water droplet through the pores which are present at the tip of the leaf or at the margins of the leaf, not in the upper surface or not in the lower surface. They are present at the tip of the leaf or present on the margin of the leaves. So these are the pore here according to this diagram. This is the pore present at the tip of the leaf. This is pore or hydathode. The name of the pore is called as hydathode. See, this is the, I never draw here all the cells properly, but listen, I am telling you, this is the midrib, this is the vascular bundle, because xylem is having thick wall, so xylem and phloem are there. These are the spongy parenchyma, that means the lower surface of the leaf, or upper surface also, because if it is monocot then both the sides have spongy parenchyma, and in that spongy parenchyma there is opening in the lower surface, or maybe it is upper surface. I have shown here stoma in the lower surface, and just above to it, stoma, there is substomatal cavity. Here all the water molecules are collected, whatever they have to throw, with the help of transpiration. It becomes changed from water to water vapor, then they can be thrown out through the stoma. It occurs in the transpiration, but during guttation, water will be collected in the water cavity. This is water cavity, and when it will be where there will be no transpiration, then water can reach to the water cavity, and this water cavity releases water in the form of water only, along with all the minerals and each and everything through this pore. This is called as hydathode, and process is known as guttation. So children, there are so many differences in transpiration and guttation. You studied in other classes also. Here I am telling some little bit that guttation have water and water in the form of water. In the form of water, along with that minerals, and in case of transpiration, water will be removed in the form of water vapor. There will be no exudation of mineral and other things. Simply water molecule will be evaporated. This is the main advantage of transpiration, and this is the main disadvantage of guttation. But what they will do, if they will not transpire their excess water, so they are releasing water along with the water vapor. So as per your scheduled syllabus, there is the guttation and difference between the guttation and transpiration. You can study very well. And there is another pore found in the woody stem, that is lenticel. So lenticels are present on the woody stem, yet they do not have stomata. So they will not prepare the food. That means there will be no photosynthesis. So lenticels are not active for the photosynthesis. Simply they can help in the exchange of gases, and that is in respiration. They intake oxygen like us, and they release CO2 after respiration. In some cases, lenticels are also present in the bark, which is having dead cells. So dead cells having the dead cell means when they will form the bark have different functions, but lenticel will do the same type of function, yet it is present in the living plant along with the woody stem, or yet it is present in the trees along with the tree trunk. Woody stem, they do not have little more bark, but trees have bark. But lenticel have the same function, that is exchange of gases throughout the day and night. Okay, then children, another process for absorption of water is diffusion. Children, diffusion, you know, movement of each type of molecule. That means maybe it is water, liquid, maybe it is solid, maybe it is gaseous molecule also, fluid molecule also, solid molecule also, ions also. Everything can be diffused, but there is a requirement of high concentration and low concentration. That means different or two different concentrations should be there, then only they can move from higher concentration to lower concentration. If the concentration becomes equal in both the sides, then there will be no diffusion, or no diffusion takes place. Now children, diffusion is either active or passive. Okay children, according to your English grammar, active means when you are talking about a direct version, and passive means when you are talking about the third person. So here also, if the diffusion takes place in active way, it means directly materials are coming from higher concentration to lower concentration, and there will be no helper or no other one in between these two substances. So this is the active diffusion. And passive diffusion, just I told you, according to your English grammar, one third person will be there, then you are talking about the third person, and you are telling to second person. So in that way, passive diffusion, it needs one third one, that is the protein molecule. Those substances which cannot diffuse by themselves, but they reached up to the surface of the membrane, then the protein of that membrane can help to take inside the cell. So this is known as the passive diffusion. So in some cases children, or due to the passive diffusion, there are some protein molecules which are known as porins. Porins have a big pore. In porins or through the porins, bigger molecules can diffuse from outer surface to inner inside of the cell, or from outside to the inside of the cell. So these porins are found mainly in bacteria, or suppose in plastids, or suppose in mitochondria. So these are the porins we can observe, we can see on them. Otherwise, simple protein which are present on our cell membrane or hydrophilic proteins can do this passive diffusion. Now children, active transport. Active transport, as according to your last or previous classes, active transport is also the process of absorption in which ions or any mineral or anything can be absorbed or can be taken inside the plant's body from lower concentration to higher concentration. That means till or the process is over, that means process of diffusion is over, that means high concentration to low concentration it was going on, so diffusion also was going on. Then the inside the cell there will be the concentration becomes more, and outside the cell concentration of the ions or materials will be less. Then plants also need these minerals into it, so at that time plant use active transport. So at that time, during active transport, they use their energy, that is ATP, and by using their ATP, when they are using their ATP, so they can collect the minerals or in the ionic form from lower concentration to higher concentration. Along with energy, they pull it, exert some pressure on it due to that ATP, and send it to inside the cell. So children, just for an example, I want to tell you, see, suppose you are coming down from the hill. Hill means steep areas. So at that time there will be no need of your energy, simply your legs will move and easily you can, or suppose you are in two-wheeler, you are in, not four-wheeler I am telling, because it will be there will be the machine. In two-wheeler also there will be the machine. If you are in your bicycle or you are pedestrian, that is walking, then your legs will move, or you will not paddle the cycle, cycle will move by itself from high level to low level. This is simple diffusion, or you can say active diffusion. When children, you are going from low to uphill, or you are walking to the steep height, then you need some energy, and that energy you have to expend on your walking or on your bicycle, then you can go to higher level. So this is the example of active transport. If it is active transport, it needs ATP, it needs energy. Now if along with the mechanism, if I will go to the mechanism of active transport, then children, so according to the mechanism of active transport, cell have high concentration, but they need that water mineral. So this mineral will go inside to the cell, and this is the protein molecule. Protein molecule will carry it and take it along with it, and then when it will turn off, again this side become closed and this side become open. So in this way they can transfer the material from outside to the inside, and then after reaching the inside they release that substance. So this is the mechanism of active transport. Now children, I want to tell you few names. One is uniport. Children, port means to carry. So if through that molecule one thing will be carried from one place to another place, it is known as uniport. Next is symport. Symport, sim word is there where there are co-word, that means all together. So symport means when they can pass two things along with each other in the same direction, then it is known as symport mechanism. And antiport. Antiport means this is the molecule, one is moving one side, another is moving to the another side. That means anti means opposite. So at that time the movement of the molecule in two direction, one is going inside and the one is coming outside. This is known as antiport mechanism. So children, this is the mechanism of active transport. Okay children, God bless you. Thank you.